This is my Research Project 3 assignment by Kyle Winter, student number Win16003628. To start with, we had 5 objectives, and the first objective was to define shots in a game, fouls and work rate. So here are the definitions of what I found. So the performance criteria I will be comparing is shooting. Shooting is aiming at a specific target, such as a goal or basket. The rule break, what I'll be analysing, is when someone fouls in football. This can be due to a bad tackle or offside. Rule breaking is when someone in football does the following: indirect free kicks, direct free kicks, penalties, offsides, or simulation. Also, the work rate is how much a person works in a game. I will be investigating the work rate of Roberto Firmino for Liverpool. The definition is: work rate is the process of classifying activities according to intensity of movements. Next, it was to design a notational analysis system to compare 2 performances by Roberto Firmino. So here you can see the tagging system, in which it shows all of the different keys what I use to analyse the performance. You have shots, fouls, walking, jogging, sprinting up here, and here it just explains it also. The event buttons are the main ones at the top of the screen, which indicate shots and fouls. So here are the event buttons. Then the continuous event buttons are the ones that happen, which I'll have to be clicking consistently throughout the game. So that'll be these 3 here: walking, jogging, and sprinting. So it's due to time. And then finally, the keyword buttons are all the other buttons which state specific information. So all of these here, so the type of shot, the area, the success rate, player who took it, and the half. Next, it was to compare shots in a game, fouls and work rate of Liverpool and Roberto Firmino. So here you can see a pie chart, an analysis of Roberto Firmino's work rate against Arsenal, and a pie chart to show Roberto Firmino's work rate against Manchester City. The next was to analyse 2 performances of shot, fouls and work rate of Liverpool and Roberto Firmino. So here, I'm not going to read it all out because it's rather long, it will take quite a while. But here you can see all what the results show throughout the game, the similarities, the differences, and future recommendations for what could make the game better. You can pause it and have a read if you would like. Same again here, more information on what happened, and here is a conclusion of overall what happened in those 2 games and Roberto Firmino's and Liverpool's performance. So the strengths of the analysis. I knew the sport very well beforehand, so I understood what a foul was, what it was like when shots were successful or unsuccessful, what it was like when a foul was committed, so a successful or unsuccessful foul. This meant that analysing the game would have been a lot easier for me. Also, the team I chose was Liverpool, so I watch them on a daily basis or weekly whenever they play. So I understand how they play and when things are going well or negative for them. The data collected was done by Dartfish, so this was a big strength because it made it a lot easier for me, because doing it hand notationally meant that I would have loads of paperwork, and then if I lost some of it, then it would have been a big issue. But because of Dartfish, it made it a lot easier process, so it meant that not much of my work was lost, and it can be done a lot quicker than usual. Finally, it wasn't rushed, so this was completed on time, which meant that my work wasn't rushed at all. This meant that it would allow concentration, and it would make all my discussions and other things on my research booklet up to standard, and thoroughly thought through the whole way of the process, which meant it was a good standard piece of work. The weaknesses, during the matches what I recorded, Firmino wasn't always on the pitch. This made it hard to see whether he was again walking, jogging or sprinting at the time. Therefore this meant that the data might have not been as reliable as it could have been. and also sometime at some stages he would have got substituted as well, so it wouldn't show a full 90-minute display of him performing. It would show at least 80 minutes, but 80 minutes is sort of good enough in a way, but still 90 minutes would have been far better. Dartfish was used for the first time, so it took quite a while to start the process of analysis because I didn't really understand Dartfish at the start. But as it went on, it got a lot better, and I understood how to use it thoroughly. And yeah, it was just tricky to start with. And I only analysed 2 fixtures, so this could mean that Liverpool could have been or Firmino could have had a bit of a blip in the season, so he could have played bad or he could have played amazing. So it wouldn't show his actual consistency throughout the games. So it would mean that I could have picked 2 games where he's played really well and Liverpool's played really well, whereas throughout that season or those 2 seasons they haven't been consistent. So then it was an unfair analysis to show that Liverpool are either really good or really bad. What would I keep the same or choose to be different in the future? So to keep the same, I would keep using Dartfish. This is because it was a lot easier doing computer notational analysis rather than doing it hand notationally. This is because, like I said, I wouldn't be at risk to losing my paperwork. I could just save it onto the computer and get it done in a certain time. I would analyse the same sport because I know a lot about football, as it is my sport what I play and watch. So it was quite easy for me to analyse most things and seek future recommendations of the sport and other things like that. Comparing and analysing the foul shots and work rate of the player because I've been through it. And to complete the work on time, this made it a lot easier for me to just spread the work out and put full concentration into it and make it up to standard that what it should be. Because if I rushed it, then some parts will be good and other parts near to the end will be weak and vague. The things I would do differently is to analyse more games. This is to make sure that the results are reliable, because Liverpool, again, like I said, could have been going through a good stage or a bad stage when they first played those 2 games against Manchester City and Arsenal. So by doing more games, there'll be more analysis to see how Firmino is playing and what he does for the team, and also how Liverpool play against other teams, whether they dominate by shots or possession or things like that, or work harder throughout the game and more things like that. I do more performance criteria to analyse. For example, instead of just doing shooting, I'd analyse people's passing, their tackling, and other things like that. Even for a goalkeeper saving and other, so it would show how hard players have got the ball or how much they have to try and get the ball back. So which would also show, because shots can normally be, lots of them could be taken from outside the box, so they're not really pressuring the keeper. Whereas if I analyse the passing or the tackling, it would also show whether the team is consistently attacking and dominating the side, or having to retrieve the ball and hitting them on the counter attack. So it would help a lot with that. And finally, I'd watch the games more than once. So if I only watch them once, it would mean that I could miss certain things. Whereas if I watch them twice, even 3 times, each time I can compare my results and see whether I've missed anything or whether certain things change throughout the game. Finally, so what would I do to develop my project? Firstly, I would look at the games the season before and after the analysis. This will aid me because I can see if there was any improvements in their game. So if I analysed them in 2017 and then analysed them in 2016, it would mean that it would show if there was any improvements or not, if they got more points or the players were working harder or there was more passes in each game or even more shots. This would show a different in play and certain things like that. But also if I'd done it after, I can also see if they improved once again or they declined a little bit, so the intensity might not be there. This could be due to the players not wanting to be there or things like that. They want to move on, or the training resumes have been altered to change the style of play that Liverpool play. But adding this to the research would allow a better overall analysis. Two, I would analyse different games against different opposition. So in my two games, what I analysed, I've noticed that it was against Arsenal, Manchester City, and those two are two of the six big teams in the Premier League. So some state like Liverpool could have done really well against them or really negative against them. So it was a bit hit or miss. But overall, if I analyse players nearer to the bottom of the table as well, it would show that whether Liverpool are deserve to be up with the top teams or nearer to mid-table because of the way they play against certain teams. Because it could show that Liverpool could play really well against the big teams because they play football, but against the littler teams they might not be able to play as much football because of the fact that they'll sit in and try and stop Liverpool from scoring, which was often the case. And finally, I would add more performance criteria. So again, like I said, adding criteria such as passing and tackling would show an overall better analysis of how Liverpool are performing. Because, like I said, if it's just shots, they could be taking a lot of long-range shots and not actually breaking down the defence. Whereas if I do passing and tackling, it could show whether Liverpool are actually dominating the game. Because if they have low tackling and a real high possession stat, because of most passes being played, it can show they had a real comfortable game. Whereas if there was a lot of tackling, but the passing was still high, it would show that passing was a bit off. So they were misplacing passes and trying to make things too pretty. So and then they'll have to go back and tackle the counter attacks a lot. Thank you. This is my research project, Simon. Thank you.